Married at 19 against her will, she feared him, until his wedding gift shocked the whole town. She was 19 when the veil was placed over her head, heavy as a sentence she never agreed to. The town gathered in polite rows, whispering behind gloved hands, pretending this wedding was ordinary. It wasn't. Everyone knew she hadn't chosen him. Everyone knew her father's debts had chosen for her. As she stood at the altar, her hands trembling beneath borrowed lace, fear sat in her chest like a trapped bird. The man waiting for her, Elias Crow, was older, quiet, and rumored to be cold as winter stone. People said he didn't smile. People said he didn't forgive. People said he was the kind of man a girl should fear. And she did. When she finally lifted her eyes to him, expecting cruelty or triumph, she saw neither, only a steady, unreadable calm that frightened her more than anger ever could. His voice, when he spoke his vows, was low and controlled, not a hint of pride in it. When she repeated hers, the words tasted like surrender. The ring slid onto her finger, heavy and final, and with it went her childhood, her freedom, her dreams of choosing love for herself. As the town applauded, she felt like an exhibit, proof that debts could still buy people. That night, in the carriage ride to his house, she sat pressed against the door, silent, bracing for what came next. Elias did not touch her. He didn't even look at her. He stared out the window as if giving her space was the only kindness he knew how to offer. That frightened her too. Fear thrives in silence. At his home, a large but lonely house at the edge of town, he showed her to a separate room and said only, "You'll be safe here." Safe. The word echoed without comfort. Over the following days, she waited for demands, for control, for anger. None came. He rose early, worked late, spoke little. Servants treated her with respect bordering on confusion. The town watched closely, waiting for signs of cruelty. Instead, they saw a young bride walking the grounds alone, untouched, unharmed, but still afraid. On the 7th morning after the wedding, Elias told her there would be a gift, something promised as part of the marriage contract. Her stomach twisted. Gifts, she knew, often came with chains. The town was invited. Curiosity buzzed like flies. When they gathered in the square, Elias stood beside her, not possessive, not distant, just present. Then he spoke words no one expected. He announced that the land deed, his most valuable property, had been transferred entirely into her name. Gasps rippled through the crowd. He went further. Her father's debts were forgiven. Her marriage contract nullified any claim over her choices. She was free. Free to stay. Free to leave. Free to choose her own future. The gift wasn't gold. It was freedom. And in that moment, the town stood silent, witnessing something rarer than romance, honor. She looked at him, truly looked, for the first time, and saw not a man to fear, but a man who had quietly carried a burden so she wouldn't have to. And the fear she'd worn like armor began, slowly, to crack. The shock didn't fade quickly. The town talked for weeks, their whispers changing shape, from judgment to awe. A man who could have owned a wife had instead returned her power. For her, the gift brought confusion as much as relief. Freedom is heavy when you've never been allowed to hold it. Elias never pressured her to love him, to stay, or even to forgive the circumstances that brought them together. He simply lived as he always had, steadfast, restrained, principled. Slowly, she noticed the things fear had hidden before, the way he paid workers fairly, the way widows received food anonymously, the way children trusted him without being told to. One evening, she asked him why he did it, why he married her only to give everything back. He answered simply that no marriage built on fear deserved to survive, and that if love ever came, it had to arrive freely or not at all. Those words stayed with her. Days turned into months. She did not leave. Not because she was trapped, but because she was choosing. Trust grew quietly, like roots beneath winter soil. When illness struck the town, Elias worked until collapse, and she nursed him through the fever, realizing how deeply he had always cared without asking for credit. The fear that once ruled her gave way to respect, then to something warmer, something braver. When she finally chose to stand beside him, not as property, not as obligation, but as a partner, the town understood the true weight of his wedding gift. He hadn't bought a wife. He had earned one. And in doing so, he taught a watching world that real power isn't control, it's restraint. Real love isn't demand, it's choice. As their story spread, it became more than a marriage tale, it became a lesson whispered to daughters and sons alike, that dignity given freely multiplies, and kindness, when it costs something, can change everything. And to you watching this story unfold, remember this: fear can be unlearned, freedom can be reclaimed, and sometimes the greatest gift isn't what someone gives you, but what they refuse to take from you. If stories like this move your heart, inspire your courage, and remind you of the goodness still possible in this world, subscribe to the channel, because every story here is written to remind you that even in the darkest beginnings, honor can still write the ending.